Channel 2S is brought to you by New Type HQ. Get your kits and supplies at the link in the description below. Welcome back to another Channel 2S stream. I am aware Zach Aurelius is streaming the God Gundam build right now, which might dampen our numbers a little bit. I have a feeling there's probably a lot of people over there watching that, but that doesn't matter. We're going to go ahead and build the Lord Astray anyways. You know I'm a big Astray guy, so obviously I had to pick this one up. It was P-Bandai. It was a little bit on the expensive side, but I definitely don't think it was as bad as, say, the G-Unit kits like the Asclepius. I believe this was only like $40 after shipping, I think, maybe a little less than that, which for a P-Bandai high grade, you know, that's kind of par for the course. So if I remember correctly from some of the in-hand pictures I saw of this, there's not quite as much color separation on the giant sword as it's technically supposed to have, but it doesn't look too bad in one shade of gray. I'm also kind of looking at this a little bit just to see if I recognize any parts from the regular high grade Astray, and surprisingly there's not a whole lot here that's from that kit. There's definitely some stuff that's from the Build Divers Astray, and there's some new stuff, of course, but I'm not seeing a lot from that original Astray. So, the sticker sheet kind of reminds me of the old high-grade Astrays, where there technically are a lot of stickers by quantity, but none of them are, like, super, super big and distracting. Like, this all seems like fairly reasonable small stuff. I am looking at this one right here, and it does look like it wraps around a bit at the end, so that could be a bit crappy, but depending on where that's used, that could be either the kind of thing you could just leave off completely or just paint over. Oh, you get some clear back markings as well. That's kind of cool. It's crazy to think that this polycap runner style is almost 10 years old at this point. I still think of this as like the new style of polycaps. Oh, this is where the ugly sticker goes. Okay, you're supposed to put it on this front piece. Yeah, I'm not gonna do that. I'm not really sure what the Lord Astray is actually from. I know it from SD Gundam G Generation Cross Rays, but I'm not sure what like manga it originates from. Yeah, I should trim these. Alright, let's see if I can do this without messing it up. There we go. Look at how much better that looks. That is a big improvement. He's got a sticker for the eyes. And then he's got a sticker for an entire face. That's just an entire Gundam face. I'm just going to use the one that's just the eyes. I'm assuming it's like an either-or thing, and I'd rather not have a giant sticker slathered across the model's face. Oh, that's where it's supposed to go. I see. The weird face sticker goes on the back of the head. You know what? I'm going to just YOLO it. If the sticker works, it works. Great. If it doesn't, I can just toss it. It's not a sticker that I'm particularly attached to. Oh, that actually went on pretty well. That was a better engineered sticker than I was expecting. I am pleasantly surprised. That actually went on pretty well. And you cannot see it because the camera will not focus on it. There we go. That went on pretty well. That is a weird face on the back of his head. Like, yes, obviously it's weird enough that he has a face on the back of his head, but it's such a weird face. It's so, like, squished in looking. The head's a lot more intricate than I was expecting. Oh no. I forgot a piece all the way back at the beginning of the build. I have to take the entire head apart now. So the very first two pieces I put together are supposed to have... Oh, I see. It's the chin. It's the little black bit for the chin. All that just for a little speck of black. This head felt so flimsy as I was putting it together. And I thought for sure it was going to be like the Master Grade Red frame where you can literally just bump this ever so slightly and it comes flying off, but this is actually holding together really well. I love the color scheme too. That white with the light gray, the black, and the red is a really nice combination, especially when the red is like that really dark, nice color, because you know me, I love my dark reds and I love my light blues, and this guy has a really nice dark red. A lot of neck articulation too. He's got a really nice hinge at the base of the neck, instead of the usual high-grade polycap. I would actually really like to see... I know it's never going to happen. They've basically axed the whole line, and there's like zero chance they do this specific kit in it anyways, but I would have loved if they did a SD cross silhouette of this design, so I could have this in the SD proportions. This whole arm is built with like clip-together style joints, like the Geminis, instead of proper polycaps, which I'm not exactly a fan of. I was going to say something about the elbow articulation being bad, but that's actually not too bad. But yeah, he is using the clip style elbows, They're pretty stiff right now. He does have a very large weapon, so I'm not sure how well these are going to hold up over time. Oh, that looks nice. They put a white stripe in the middle of the sticker so that it looks like there's a gap between the two sensors. There's literally no polycaps anywhere in this arm except for the socket where it connects to the shoulder. It feels a bit cheap, but due to the general... I wouldn't go as far as say it's beefy, but there's definitely more kind of substance to this kit than the Geminis had, so it doesn't feel quite as bad as it did there, but it is still kind of noticeable. But that's the thing with these P-Bandai exclusive kits that are completely or mostly new molds. It's that they don't really have the full budget to really give a kit the full attention it deserves, so they'll sometimes kind of cut some corners regarding the engineering, and it can leave you with some underwhelming results. I kind of wish they did lean more on the old Astray design, because honestly that one was a better kit than this. It was just more solidly built and had more substance to it. The joints were like nicely polycapped and had good articulation. It didn't have these clip style elbows. I do kind of wish they used more of that mold. I'm not disliking it as much as I did with the Geminis. I think this was quite a bit worse in that regard, but looking at the Witch from Mercury kits, it really does seem like this is a general trend that high grades are kind of going towards, and I don't know if I could say I'm a fan of it. It is such a cool looking kit though. Look at this guy. That is such a cool design. I love how he has like the red lines coming down the sides of his arms. I think those actually glow. Yeah, I would absolutely love a master grade of this thing. That would be like a day one pre-order for me. It's extremely likely too, because yeah, there's a lot of new tooling involved, but there was a lot of new tooling involved for the Testament, and they had no problem making that, and that sold really well, so I could totally see them following that up with the Lord Astray. It is kind of interesting to build the limbs for this kit, because instead of like, you know, left side, right side, you're kind of almost building it as like a sandwich where you have like top, middle, lower middle, bottom, and it all kind of sandwiches together to get this color separation effect. It would be kind of nice if he had more knee articulation though. Like, this is both joints extended as far as they go. It's a little bit more than 90 degrees. Yeah, so it's got C-clip knees, or kind of combination C-clip knees. So there's a C-clip for the top joint, and then the bottom joint is more like your classic Gunpla knee joint, where you have like the two halves with like the loop pieces that go in between them and then sandwich shut. For a very heavily melee-based suit that you're going to want to put into a lot of cool dynamic anime poses. I'd say that's a pretty big L on Bandai's part. But then again, they made the kit like this and it still sold out several times over anyways, so who's the real loser in this situation? It looks like the front skirts have a pair of stickers on them that completely envelop the entire piece. Because why make those parts out of gray plastic when you can just slather them with stickers? No polycap for the side skirts, just styrene on styrene. No polycaps anywhere in the waist, actually. This is all styrene connections. Only polycaps are in the ankles, the hips, the connection between the waist and the abdomen, and the connection between the abdomen and the chest, and the shoulders. Even in the moments that I'm like putting this kit together, I can already tell that like some joints are a little looser than others. And nothing's like floppy loose, like if I, you know, wiggle the kit around, it's not going to flop around, but you can just kind of tell when you're handling the kit that some of the joints give a little bit easier than the others do. Oh, and by the way, this guy doesn't have any alternate hands. So just like with the IBO kits, you literally just get the grab hands and that's it. No closed fists, no open relaxed hands, which is kind of lame to be honest. I always like having at least something for the left hand, so if he doesn't have a weapon in his offhand, he can just have it resting a little more naturally than the kind of weird, unnatural grabbing position. Oh yeah, that just slides right in. And there is his primary sword, which I believe technically is supposed to have more color apps than it does, but honestly, I think this looks totally fine. Let me see how to make the other configurations. So you pull this off. Okay, that's a little bit annoying to remove. You pull that out. So in order to use the chain sword, you have to pull the connector out, and then you stick the chain in where the connector used to be. It's got a little bit of flex to it. You can't really pose it because it's just plastic. There's no bendy wire in it or anything, so you can't really get any good whip poses out of it, which I feel makes it kind of useless. So let's see what we can do with these swords. So in order to use the sword separately, you just pull the handle out like this, and then you slide it down. Oh, that's actually so clean. The mechanism inside is super simple. It's just a sliding track with a couple C-clips, but that is so smooth. So he can use the two single-bladed swords like this, but you can also rotate the blade down and it kind of folds in on itself. But it seems like you're supposed to fold it in to form like a type of cleaver weapon, sort of like this. So the way you attach the sword is that little groove in there pegs in right there on the backpack. And it just locks into place like that. And then these pieces just attach over the top of it. I do kind of wish that they worked in a way to make these hinge up instead of having them be separate parts. But man, look at this guy with his giant ass anime sword. It is literally just sticking straight out the side of his back. This looked pretty crazy on the SD model in Crossrays, but it looks even more ridiculous on a normal-sized Gundam. He actually stands up pretty well. If you want to have him displayed like this, you totally can. The only issue is that this is literally his only weapon, so if you have him displayed like this, he won't have anything to hold in his hands. I want to get it in his hands, though, and see how he looks when he's actually wielding it. You gotta take the back off his hand, and because of the way his arm is designed, you have to completely remove the hand from the arm in order to take the back off it. Yeah, I mean, he looks cool. Let me try to get him in a pose where the sword is, like, actually up in the air more. I mean, yeah, he's pretty poseable. And he seems to be reasonably stable. For now, his wrist and his arm is holding up his sword okay. There is no polycap in the wrist. There is no polycaps in the elbow, so I have no idea how long this kit is going to hold up. You know, if you have this guy sitting on a shelf in a pose like this, will the arm droop over time? I don't know, probably. I'm not gonna like disassemble the other hand to try to get it in, but you could absolutely get this guy to dual hand this weapon almost effortlessly. But he is still not having much of any issue standing here with that sword, as you can see. And one thing that's kind of nice about it is that even though it is a round handle, it doesn't do that really annoying thing that a lot of Zaku Heat Hawks do, where the handle is super thin so the blade just flops around. They actually made the handle thick enough that you can control the angle of the sword and it's not going to slide around in his hand. I want to try posing him now with the separate swords. Yep, I totally put the sword in backwards. Well, you know what? There are no mistakes. Only happy accidents. And I gotta say, that looks pretty cool. Only thing left to do is see how he looks with the whip sword. I feel like your posing options with the whip aren't really that great because the whip itself can't actually bend or flex, so it's just stuck in this really weird, unnatural pose. So a lot of like whipping type poses you might want to do with him won't look super natural. I'm gonna try using the single bladed sword with the large black handle. There we go. That looks kind of cool. As many different weapon configurations as there are for this kit, though, there is no way I'm displaying him with anything other than the giant combined sword. Like, that is the way that you display this kit. Let's get these weapons out of his hands so we can take a look at his articulation. He's got a hinge at the base of the neck and a ball joint at the top. The swing forward polycap on the shoulder doesn't actually swing that far forward. This is actually about as far as you can get it. This bit on the side of the shoulder completely pops off, but you can... Nope, never mind. You can't get it out of the way. It literally just pops off, so that's about as high as you're getting his arm then. He does have a bicep swivel, a pretty respectable elbow bend, not a perfect 180, but I don't think it really needs to be any more than this. And then he does have a ball-jointed wrist that is a little bit restricted because he has this white collar piece around the wrist that doesn't rotate on its own. There's nothing special going on here. It's literally just two ball joints, but it has a lot of range. That is really impressive for a high grade. Side to side's pretty great too. He has universal hips, he has a swivel, he has swing down hips as well, so if you want to get the hip down like that for different poses, you totally can. His knee is a pathetic 90-degree bend. His ankle bends about there, and then the foot comes forward and back a little bit. These pieces in the legs are on a ball joint, so they can be moved and rotated around. However, you should take care with them because there's no polycap attaching them, it's just a styrene on styrene connection. Between the limited articulation and the fact that this guy has such a big bulky weapon, I can't really see myself putting this guy into any super crazy poses. On top of that, the fact that they're skimping so hard on the polycaps with this kit that I can already feel some of these joints loosening up really makes me want to handle this kit as little as I possibly can. This is a cool looking kit, but unfortunately I think the coolness of it doesn't extend past the looks. If you want to get one of these, I'd recommend picking it up for the regular P-Bandai price. If you see this thing on eBay for crazy money, just give it a pass. It's not worth it. I'm glad I ended up enjoying like just the general appearance of the finished kit as much as I do, because if I was just rating this off the build itself, I would be pretty underwhelmed. Thanks for watching this video, guys. If you enjoyed it, don't forget to leave a like. This video was recorded from one of my live streams. I usually try to stream around 4 o'clock in the afternoon till 6 or 7 in the evening Eastern Standard Time. If you want to make sure you don't miss the next stream or any future videos I upload, don't forget to subscribe and turn on the notification bell. I'd like to also extend a thank you to my patrons for helping make this channel possible, and a special thank you to my master grade tier patrons like Yank. If you want to join the Patreon yourself, you will gain access to cool features like full archives of past streams and early access to some new videos. Thanks again for watching, and as always, I'm your host Second Soundwave, and I'll see you next time. Take care, guys.